report. Senators on the Judiciary Committee now reviewing that FBI report on Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. According to a White House source, the Bureau found nothing to support allegations of sexual assault. Now it's time to bring in our headliner. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders joins us now. Sarah, good morning to you.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
A big morning. Senators are currently reviewing that report. What does the White House have to say this morning? We're going off the tweets the president sent out so far, but what are the president's thoughts this morning as senators look on at that?
Look, our position has been pretty consistent. We stand 100% with Brett Kavanaugh. The information that was asked and requested by senators, additional information, has now been provided. And as Chairman Grassley said in a statement earlier this morning, now that they have that information, it's time for the Senate to vote, and it's time for them to confirm Judge Kavanaugh.
I'm assuming the president has seen the report. Can you confirm that he has seen it, Sarah?
The president is well aware, and as I just said, he's very confident in his decision to nominate Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court and looks forward to seeing him get confirmed over the next couple of days.
Have you seen and read the report, Sarah?
Bill, that's not something I would be privy to, but certainly have been talked to about the contents. And as you saw, Chairman Grassley's statement that just came out a few minutes ago, there's nothing new in this report that they didn't already know, and it's time for the Senate to vote. Everything that has been asked by the Democrats is out there.
We've been told that the FBI went out and found Deborah Ramirez. Now, she was apparently a classmate at Yale who made the allegation during their freshman year there. Can you confirm can you tell us what the FBI concluded about its questioning of Deborah Ramirez about that incident?
Look, I can't get into the who was interviewed or who wasn't interviewed. What I can tell you is that the White House accommodated the Senate's request in what they wanted to see the FBI do. The FBI did exactly what they do best, and that's they conducted a background investigation. They provided that information to the Senate, and now it's time for the Senate to take that information and make a decision whether or not they support Judge Kavanaugh. He has given more than any other nominee in history in terms of interviews, in terms of documents, in terms of time. The Democrats have made this entire process a total disgrace. It's time for them to quit playing politics and start doing their jobs, and let's put this to a vote, and let's do it quickly.
Sarah, the president tweeted this morning on the incredible upward impact on voters from the unfair treatment, as he called it, of Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Can you explain exactly what the president's saying there?
Look, we're hearing it every single place that the president has gone. You can feel the energy both for the president and for his nominee in Brett Kavanaugh. People are outraged at the way that the Democrats have totally made this process into a partisan battle, and they've created something that should never have happened. They've upended our judicial system, and what they have done is energized Republicans, and the president is feeling that energy in all of the locations he's been. You've seen polling come out in the last day that has Republicans up in Montana, closing the gap in Montana, up in North Dakota, West Virginia, and I think the message is very clear. Democrats, you made a mistake here, and it's going to show up in November, and certainly we hope that they'll come out and vote in support of Brett Kavanaugh over the next couple of days.
Has anyone on the White House staff been in contact this week with Senators Flake, Murkowski, and Collins? Has there been an outreach?
We're continuing to stay in close contact with a number of senators, and we look forward to working with them to make sure we get this vote through over the next day or two.
Would you name any one of those three as someone you're in contact with?
I can tell you that the White House is continuing to stay in close contact with the Senate. Absolutely.
What about Democratic senators, a Heitkamp and a Manchin? Are they included in that?
We're going to continue talking with those individuals as well. Look, I think that one of the biggest and most telling parts of this process is all of the Democrats that are coming out claiming that they want to see more, that they haven't gotten enough, are Democrats that have already pledged and promised to vote no. They don't actually want more information. It's a total sham, and they need to get out of the way and stop playing politics.
But that's what they're doing this morning, Sarah. I mean, Chris Coons was on Fox and Friends at the last part of the 8 o'clock a.m. hour, making that case that not enough were interviewed in this process. And Dr. Ford's attorney has issued a statement on her behalf saying this isn't a thorough investigation because Dr. Ford herself was not interviewed by the FBI in this 7th investigation. What does the president and the White House say back to that?
I think it's real simple. I can't get into who was or who wasn't interviewed, but I can tell you that the whole world watched as Dr. Ford was interviewed for hours by the individuals that have to make the decision. That's the senators themselves. They had ample opportunity to ask any question they wanted of Dr. Ford, and if they didn't get enough, that was their own fault because they didn't step up to the plate and ask the questions that they needed answers to. The idea somehow that they now need to interview, that the FBI needs to interview her again is ludicrous. They had an opportunity to do so. They should have taken it, and if they didn't get to ask what they wanted, that was their own mistake.
Okay, two bits of sound here I want to roll. This is what Sandra was referencing, the Coons interview from earlier. Guys, this is number 3 from earlier today, where he pretty much suggests that Kavanaugh is going to go through. He said this.
I think this will be a very close vote. It hangs by a few undecided Democrats and Republicans. I haven't read this report yet. If I were to just guess today, he will be narrowly confirmed.
Okay, so that's from Senator Coons now 6 days later. Now, Lindsey Graham was in Washington this week, and the president took some heat from a lot of people in the media about talking about Dr. Ford at that rally the other night in Mississippi, and he goes to Minnesota later today. Lindsey Graham was asked about that specifically yesterday, and this was his reaction on that.
I'm the first person to say, I want to hear from Dr. Ford. I thought she was handled respectfully. I thought Kavanaugh was treated like crap. Yeah, well, boo yourself.
So there were the boo birds from his comment there. And you talk about the surge in Republican and conservative interest in this Kavanaugh nomination. And you think about the crowd's reaction the other night in Mississippi. And what are you seeing on the inside? What do your numbers tell you about how people are now engaged in this hearing, probably in a way they were not prior to the pause last Friday afternoon?
Certainly, I think you've seen numbers from across the country and energy from individuals across the country. I think one of the biggest reasons is the fairness and the process and the politics that Democrats have injected into this that would typically never be part of a Supreme Court nominee's hearing process is what they've done. And I think that's where you see most of the outrage coming from.
Okay, so
a lot of people that aren't typical supporters of the president have been outspoken on that.
Was it a strategy to characterize Dr. Ford's testimony the way the president did the other night in Mississippi?
Bill, our strategy has been really simple from day one. That's pick a nominee that is of the highest intellect, has great judicial temperament, and get them confirmed to the Supreme Court. That's been our strategy. It's been real simple, and we look forward to seeing that happen.
But he appeared to be restrained up to that moment. Was there a conscious decision made that you're going to characterize Dr. Ford's testimony the way he did the other night based on the numbers you're seeing and the support across the country?
It has nothing to do with the numbers. It has to do simply with the president being the leader and certainly wanting to see his nominee be treated fairly. He wants this process to be run the right way. Every single word, and I said this yesterday, every single word that Brett Kavanaugh has said during his testimony was picked apart relentlessly. He was badgered. As Lindsey Graham said, he was not necessarily treated fairly. He thought he was treated terribly. And the president wanted to point out the hypocrisy of that. And certainly what he did was point to the facts of what took place during that testimony and during that hearing.
Sarah, right now, the expectation is that there would be a procedural vote sometime tomorrow with a confirmation vote at the earliest possible Saturday. What is the White House preparing for as far as a timeline at this point? We're waiting on this Senate press conference at the top of the next hour.
Right now, our focus is just making sure we get them confirmed, and we'll figure out the logistics of those details after that takes place.
Sarah, I appreciate your time, and you got a lot going on there, but thank you for taking a few moments with us today. Sarah Sanders, hope you come back soon.
Thanks, Sarah.
You bet. Thank you.
All right.